Howdy folks, Daniel Rubino here with Windows Phone Essential, and we still have more information for you guys today. Check it out, the Nokia Lumia 520 has showed up on our doorstep to make this very busy, exciting day even more exciting. The Nokia Lumia 520 was announced at Mobile World Congress a couple weeks ago by Nokia, and it was also co-announced with its bigger brother, the 720. The 520 has a reputation now of being the cheapest Windows phone basically ever made. The actual retail price must be about $183 off contract, which is pretty ridiculously low for a brand new phone. Actual reality of price, though, is a little bit higher. We picked this up for about $230, but still, that is pretty low. And we're sure once the phone is out for a couple weeks, that price will drop as store shelves become stocked with the device. Anyway, let's open up the box here and we can see here. I did get a red one, which I'm kind of excited about. I never had a red Lumia device. It also comes in yellow, black, cyan, and a bunch of colors. And there is the phone right there. I'm going to have to probably figure out how to take this battery off, which will be interesting. Open the box here. Now, Nokia's pretty, they don't give you too many things here, but I'm expecting a charger, maybe some headphones. You got your, of course, your paperwork and instructions in case you're interested. This phone is getting picked up by a lot of carriers, so pay attention to Windows Phone Essential for announcements as it becomes available. Let's see what we got here. We got a crazy, and I say crazy, basically non-US adapter to recharge. And it's actually an all-in-one, which is kind of interesting. Usually you get a separate micro USB cable that plugs in. This is an all-in-one charger though, which is kind of interesting. We do get headphones. These are the typical Nokia ones that come with pretty much all of their mid-range off-contract phones, so that's always nice. We get a smaller sync cable here, which is kind of interesting. And of course the battery. That's a 1400 milliamp battery, actually 1430 I believe. You can see that here. Now the specs on this device are kind of interesting. It's a 1 gigahertz dual core CPU, which is not half bad actually for a Windows Phone 8 device. It does have Windows Phone 8 of course, which is always great. 8 gigs of internal storage with micro SD expansion, 512 megs of RAM, meaning some of those new high-end games won't be able to run on there. It's a 4-inch IPS LCD display. You have that 1400 milliamp battery, 5 megapixel rear camera, which is right there. There is no front-facing camera though, because that's one of the things they cut out to save some money here. And it weighs in at 121 grams, which is, fairly light. Now let's see if I can figure out how to pop this off. Okay, and we're back now from taking off the back cover, which is a little bit tricky. You basically just kind of peel it off. You kind of flex it like this, and it pops off. And doing so, you can see the battery in the back, and then there's the micro SIM and the micro USB slot. Nothing was too complicated about it, but it doesn't pop off as easy as, say, the Lumia 620. Anyway, the phone is now activated, and sorry if you really want to watch Windows Phone OS boot up for the first time. It's pretty painful actually as it installs the app, but everything is installed now, and you can see I am on AT&T, but this is an Edge only phone, so if you're actually really considering this for the States, be forewarned that you'll only get Edge speeds on this, no 3G and no HSPA+. So it's going to be a pretty limiting factor. Having said that, it's a pretty nice phone. It was actually pretty slow to boot up at first. I was a little actually concerned about it, especially with the speeds. But now that it's actually up and running, it actually seems okay. And so you may exhibit that too when the game first launches. I don't actually have myself logged in here, but you can kind of see there's really no lag. Now, if you're curious about the firmware, what version of the OS this is, we'll scroll down. I launched the camera by accident, which I still haven't tried yet. So there is the version number and everything. You can see it is 10.2.11, so nothing new there, and it's running the 13.09 firmware, which is the latest firmware that's out on Nokia's servers right now. So that is a pretty advanced version. Nothing too crazy here. You have your extras and info, access point, feedback to Nokia, display touch. We'll go under there. Interestingly enough, this screen is super sensitive. You can see the touch sensitivity is high there. It also has a sunlight readability, meaning when you're outside, this thing will ramp up really high in the sun so you can see it. It's temporary, and it does kind of zap the battery, which is why there's a battery saver option for it too. But it's a really great option to have. But you can wear gloves with this. Now, the one thing this screen does lack is clear black, so it doesn't have the great screen as, say, the Lumia 620. And because of that, it also lacks sort of, it's very smudge prone, to put it politely. I noticed within a couple minutes it was kind of dirty and it was kind of harder to clean as opposed to some of their more advanced screens. So, but that's what you get for having a phone that's supposed to be less than $200. We'll go under audio here. Now, what's really cool about Nokia, of course, is the fact that they do all these enhancements. Although this is interesting, it looks like it just has enhancements here, but let me see if I can actually plug in some headphones. It doesn't appear to have the Dolby stuff, which is what we see on all their other phones. Now, there's a good chance also I need to install some of Nokia's software, which may address that and enable those features, because that's usually how that stuff works. Yeah, it doesn't seem like to be anything there. So that's kind of interesting. We'll follow up on that to see if there is more sound stuff in our review. You get Network Plus and the rest of the options. Overall, it's a pretty good device. Now, if you want to see it compared to, say, the Lumia 620, we'll show that here. Now, the 620 is a little bit smaller, and forgive me here, I have my 620 charging because the battery went dead. This is a 3.8-inch display, and that's a 4-inch display. So there's clearly a size difference between these two phones. There's also a big quality difference in the jump. Now, the 620 goes for supposedly less than $300, although you can get it for probably around the $280 to $320 range. As you guys know, if you haven't read my review yet of the 620, head to Windows Phone Central, check it out. It is one of my favorite phones. I just think it looks amazing. Camera's pretty decent on it, great build. And the 522 carries on that tradition, but you can definitely feel it is, a little bit cheaper, but still feels really nice in hand with these curved edges. It just, cradles nicely in your palm. And of course, the colors are great on there, and you get a lot of nice options. You can see they've also carried over a lot of the stuff they've been learning lately. So you have your ceramic buttons again, and everything is sort of black. And, that's makes it a lot less resistant to wear, which is always a good thing. The button responsiveness is pretty good. They're nice and firm, and it feels sort of similar to what's on the 620. So they're clearly, bringing that same kind of technology over. I still prefer the 620 over everything, even though the specs are kind of similar. They both have 5-megapixel cameras, although this does have a front-facing sensor and gyroscope, where this one does not. I think it's gyroscope or compass. One of them is missing. But overall, the 520 is a pretty solid phone. It's going to do well, I think, for Nokia. By the way, you can see it here compared to, unfortunately, this battery's dead too. But there is the Lumia 810 from T-Mobile. And so this is a much bigger device, of course, but also a pretty solid phone. So we'll have more on this as well as the 720 as soon as we get that in, and we'll do a review of this phone this week. But there you go, Nokia's low-end Windows phone, their cheapest one on the market. It won't appeal to our power users, but it is a pretty solid device and offers a great functionality for a lot of people. So there you go. Take care, everybody.